Good morning, traders, and welcome to the Bookmap live trading webinar. This is Bruce at Bookmap. I'll be your host. Welcome to the Bookmap live trading webinar. This is Bruce at Bookmap. I'll be your host. Welcome to the Bookmap live trading webinar. This is Bruce at Bookmap. I'll be your host. Welcome to the Bookmap live trading webinar. And what we're going to do is go through live analysis. In this live analysis here, the whole concept is based off of our educational process here. We have an educational course. It's online, and then we go through these live markets so that you can apply what you've learned. Then we have live trading from Jay Trader and Scott Pulsini. We also have many other traders over on our Discord channel. Let me just quickly kind of show you that over here on our Discord channel here on Bookmap. It's free to join. We won't spam you or like anything like that. We have an excellent group here, and we have excellent education. So you'll find here Traders Lab Tom B. He will be next after this webinar finishes at 11:30 East Coast time, and then he'll go until about 1:30 when you'll have Doug come in. Options with Doug, that's here. The content is excellent, and then we have the Algo Boys as well. They will go after that from 2:30 to 4 p.m. So we have lots of different events in here. We have crypto in the morning at 8:30 to 9:30. Not today, but we will next week. So whatever it is you're looking for, you'll likely find it in here, and we hope that we're meeting your expectations for your educational goals in here. We think we have a pretty robust plan for you. So let's jump in here and go through the disclosures and then look at the live market. So general disclosure, all Bookmap Limited materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. Risk disclosure, trading futures, equities, and digital currencies involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Okay, so let's jump in here and take a look at what's happening in this S&P. It's all over the place this morning. So we had the PCE core PCE index here. It's kind of like the CPI data. So we know the market is very sensitive to that inflation data. So anything that has to deal with that, we're going to get some volatility, which is exactly what we got here, as you can see. So kind of a quick 40-point move down, or at least with the best bid and offer. Surely, though, a 30-point move down and then like a 35-point move back up, or 40-point move, and then right back down again into new lows. All right, so this is the driver for today. Right, so we know that this is where the price action is taking place. Okay, so we can mark all of that up, and everything has taken place within that price action from the event. All right, this is what we're talking about here when we're talking about, or Scott talks about, volume events. For example, this can set the tone for the day. Okay, maybe your volume event, maybe there was no data. Okay, maybe there's no fundamental release. Well, maybe you're looking at the range from the overnight then, or maybe you're waiting until there's some trading activity in the cash session here, and tons of volume, as you can see on the bars and the size of the dots here. And you want to look at you know, the first I don't know, hour, half hour, whatever it might be. Maybe that's the event you're looking for. Or maybe you're zoomed in and looking at other events in here. So you can see that here at 10 a.m. We also had some data that came out here. So this is the Consumer Sentiment University of Michigan, and inflation expectations as well. So you can see them pulling liquidity here before the event, and this is a new smaller event in here now. All right, so this is another thing. If you're trading on a smaller time frame, maybe you want to look at this data here. You can see they're buying off of the bottom, And then this is the swing here to the top, which it sold off down to. So now we're seeing buyers come right back in and looking for them to lift it back up into this area up here, around maybe 42.5. All right, so you see liquidity just coming in at 40 right now. All right, so maybe just 40 then. All right, so not looking for too much, but just we're still in this range. And that's setting the tone for right now. All right, so you know, we can also take a look at, and what I'm doing here is we're talking about order flow on various time frames, and we're looking at different market structures based on events in here. Okay, these are two fundamental events or you know, economic releases setting the tone. We also have the cash open here at 9:30, which is also an event. Right, so we're looking at some of these events in here, and we're starting to understand the structure that this price action has taken, and we're looking at the volume within that structure, and we're looking at the liquidity within that structure. Okay, so let's take the volume off for just a moment and just look at the structure of price action and liquidity. Okay, so I'm going to highlight the liquidity here. Liquidity up here at 38.50 and liquidity down here at 38.23 or so. Right, and it's been back and forth within these areas here. Right, so this is understanding the auction here within these events that we're talking about. And this can set the tone for the day. It's something you can look at. You can also, you can back test and you can study, right, and start to understand the various events in here and the order flow within them. All right, so and put together something that's higher probability. Anyway, now let's look at the volume and take the heat map off. Right. Okay, so now we just have the volume, right? So we can see the transactions where they're taking place, and you can see we're still within this area here. So what's the high probability move in here, what we're looking for? And that's what we're looking for, is an edge. Where do we have an edge in the order flow? So, you know, we were kind of thinking that we'd come up to about this 40 level, maybe 42.5. Not sure what happened to that liquidity, but we can go and check. You know, that's what it's done so far. Right now, there's only a few points, but you get the drift here, the understanding. Let's turn the heat map back on. All right, so now we have a little bit more understanding. There was high liquidity here at 40. They transacted. They stayed in the order book. Here's the big transaction right into it. Now they're up here at 45. Other larger traders with high liquidity. Okay, and let's just take a look at that. See how it didn't transact here? Look how it's selling off. So looking for a move right down into 38 liquidity here. All right, so you know, just understanding supply and demand in the market here, and there's the move into 38. Let's see are there still a lot of buyers in here? So what we're looking for now after that is a break of this small structure. And if we get buyers back up above here around this 39 area, maybe they can come back up and trade to where it dropped from here, or maybe even test into this liquidity at this 45 area. Okay, so here come our buyers. Now let's see them try to move it back up into these areas here. Okay, just simple things and understanding the structure and understanding the order flow within that structure. Okay, where that liquidity is, where there's buyers, where there's sellers, and what's the reaction to that liquidity with the aggressors. Okay, the market buy and sell orders. So so far so good. All right, we're seeing those buyers come in, and we see higher liquidity at a little bit higher level here. Okay, at this 39 level. Now they just pulled it and added it lower. Okay, now this is likely the same actor. Okay, it was here, pulled it, added it down in here. As you can see, it's basically at the same time that they pulled that liquidity, they added it down here. Okay, so we're trying to gauge and understand this auction process in here. All right, so I hope this is making sense or clarity for you guys. This is something that you can really lean on in the order flow by understanding the order flow. So for example, let's just take a look at our higher time frame here. All right, so let's just look at maybe a 15-minute chart over here, or maybe we'll look at a 5-minute chart. It doesn't really matter. Yeah, 15 minutes is fine. All right, so we can look at the ranges in here and start to understand the pressures in the market. Now we have just candlesticks and volume here. Okay, I have a few horizontal lines, but even with this in here, you can start to kind of understand some of the order flow, but there is just such a lack of transparency. Okay, we can start to, one of the best things we can see, at least with these higher time frame candlesticks or bars, if you guys like looking at bar data instead, that's fine. It doesn't really matter. This is aggregated data within that time period right now. Could be a volume period, it could be Renko, range bar, doesn't matter. But we want to understand ranges and then when price might move outside of that range. All right, so let's go back to the candlesticks. It's what most people are looking at. We can see sellers up here. Okay, now this makes good sense. Look at the drop yesterday, we can see the this area here. We had a drop at the open, a little bit of a pause here, and then a drop again. We tested back up into that area where there was this pause, and we found more sellers, right? Okay, and you can see that we even tested back and forth in here within this the data period. No, I'm sorry, the cash open right here, and we found more sellers again, right back down into this area where it paused in here. See how this little area right in here, let me get my pen tool. Okay, see this little area right in there is really no different than this little area right in here. Okay, there maybe this is kind of a break in the price action and then a continuation, right? They're buying off of here, right? And now we're seeing them buying, coming in, going back up into and looking for a retest on this time frame back up to this 38.55 level. Okay, so does it accept above this little swing right in here? So far so good. Okay, so let's see. That's the question right now. Okay, it's a pretty strong candle on this 15-minute chart here. So I'd be looking for the most likely move would be back up into 38.55. Okay, great. So let's take a look at the order flow. All right, so here we have a bit of a pattern in here, a flag, strong move, a little bit of a pullback here, and now we're looking for a strong move again up into 55 up here. Okay, all right, so how do we get involved in something like this? Well, you could be buying right there, looking for this move to continue. All right, now this is not a trade recommendation room, so far so good. I mean, it's just pulling back right now. It's a false breakout, but they are auctioning and trading up here. Okay, so we're still looking for the continuation of the move, and there we go into 50 right now, looking still for it to continue on up into our 55 area. All right, so we can see it all here in the order flow. There's our move up into 55. Take some profit right there. Okay, let's take a look at why we were taking profit, because this is where there were sellers previously. Look at the wicks, look at the selling pressure come in. All right, so there is a low risk, high probability trade right there in front of us that played out by understanding the order flow within the bigger picture here. All right, hope this is making sense. Good morning, Vincent. Got a thin day today, not a lot of guys in, which is totally understandable. Anyway, let's happy holidays, everybody. Uh, let's look at what's going to unfold next now. Now, this is pretty strong candle. Look at it. Look at the you almost can kind of feel the pressure in here when you look at that candle and you look at this here in Bookmap. You can definitely feel it, right? So I'm looking for continuation still, right? Up into higher levels here. And maybe it comes up into this 62 or 63 up here, maybe 70. All right. So now we're probably going to get a pullback in here. It's pretty strong. But, we got to look at both sides here. We're going to read the order flow here in the live market, but we're looking for which direction it might go based on the order flow. Okay, so right now the bigger picture is still a move to the upside. Right now, to reduce risk though, and kind of understand, looking at all the pieces in here, well, what if that doesn't unfold? What if, like, we get exhaustion here, a little bit of exhaustion here? What if we get sellers here at 55? Okay, well, then we're looking for a move back down here to 53.5. There it goes already. And then also down here, 52. Okay, maybe all the way back down to 50, the half figure down here. Okay, so now this is how we can stay away from we'll go through some different scenarios in here, but stay away from these trades in here. Okay, we still might get back up here. We're still bullish. All right. So this was just a quick sell-off back down into these lower levels, and then let's see if we get our continuation back up here. All right. So the volume's not bad on the buy side, but right now the volume's pretty good on the sell side too. So it's kind of equal in here. All right. So don't have too much of a look here at exactly what's unfolding at the moment. All right, but anyway, I do like this 50 area here, not just because it's the figure, but see the little move into high liquidity here, the pause, and then the continuation to 55. Okay, so we're looking for maybe a move down to here, and then maybe it kind of bounces around a little bit. All right, so strong selling coming in. Okay, you can see it now. Here's where we got the read on that. Okay, we saw the strong selling here, and then the buying wasn't bad either, but there was a little bit more selling. But up here is where we get the insight. Okay, so you can see it again here. Whoops, sorry guys. You can see it again here. Okay, there's our exhaustion. Right now, we're looking for when those sellers may come in, and you can see that they came in below this buying area right in here. Okay, and then this is the selling we're looking for in here. There's the continuation, there's the move, and that's kind of what we were looking for into 50, and we came down to 50.5 though. We didn't come down to 50. Okay, so and now we're right back up again. All right, so let's take a look now. All right, so now we have some selling that came in. It's kind of back and forth in here, but look back up here now. See how we have buying back up here again? All right, so that's kind of interesting. It didn't make a higher high here or even an equal high. It's just kind of bashing around within this whole range in here at the moment. But let's see if we get some more buyers. See the cluster in here? Let's see if we get some buyers here. Looking for them here. Here they are. All right, so there's the move up into 53. Let's see if we can get up to 55. Okay. And then let's see if we can continue maybe to 58. Okay, now that would be highs for this little range in here that we're looking at. Okay, they're still auctioning, they're still buying, so it still looks good. There are a few caveats in here that we've talked about in the past, and that is in the order flow here. We really like to see the bid underneath here as being strong. The target is the 58 or 57 liquidity up here. Okay, but we want to see them come in like here at 51. We'd like to see a little higher, maybe 53. High liquidity there, and then the reaction to that liquidity, okay, we want to see is buyers. Okay, and then trade up into our high liquidity up here at 58. All right, so we're getting the buyers in here, but we're not getting that liquidity on the bid here. So likely the move is up here. It's just less probable. Okay, until we get that kind of reaction from that liquidity in here on the bid. Right, so that's one way to kind of gauge like higher probability in your order flow. Okay, if you don't have that, watch how sellers can come in here and zip it right back down to this 51 area here. Okay, so here they come, right? Because there's not a whole lot of liquidity in here. So what that means is this turns into a bigger range and just back and forth in here between high liquidity on the offer, high liquidity on the bid. Okay, let's see. Happy holidays, everybody. Joe, thank you. Joe, thanks so much. I really appreciate the support in here. Yeah, hit the like button, guys. Subscribe to the channel, hit the like button. That certainly helps us continue with this kind of education. All right, we're back up here again. Now, let's take a look at this. This is actually kind of one of my favorite patterns here is starting to develop. I'd love to see a wall of liquidity on the bid here. But it's just not, we're not quite getting enough on the buy side up here yet. But let's see if we can get it up here at 56, and then we should get our breakout. And let's talk about why. All right, so it's pretty straightforward. It's here right in the order flow. Okay, here's our buyers in here. There's our breakout. We're looking for it to go higher. Okay, now why did we even think that here at this area? We didn't really like it right there too much, but we thought that it's starting to look pretty good. Here's why. In our range that we put in this rectangle here, okay, we have some sellers down here. That's not good, but look at we have buyers here. We have buyers here. We have buyers all the way up here. Now, up here, it's not so great, but they still are buying. Okay, and then we also have some buyers up here. Now, that's not great either, but they're still buying. All right, so looking for that breakout. It is unfolded. Now it's turning into a false breakout too. Now, let's just go through some different scenarios or variations in this. Let's suppose, and we'll just use the colors here, I think. Yeah, this will work. Okay, this new pen tool. Let's suppose we had like big buying like this up here at these areas. Okay. Up in here, right? Let's go back to that bigger dot. Like in here, this would look much better, not only for this breakout and move up like this, but for it to be sustained. We'd look for maybe something like that. Okay, because there's tons of buyers up at this level, right? So now if we take a look at what's happening within this range in here, we did note like you know, we have nice buying. Whoops. Nice buying here, you know, okay here, not so much here. What about the selling? Well, we noted the selling in this rectangle here, and then there's some selling down here. So there's a little bit down here, but they didn't make a lower, even an equal low here, right? So we're understanding the volume within the structure. So this will help us understand this order flow. The volume within the structure, and then now the liquidity in the heat map, we also have that. We see it up here. And we also see it down here. We noted that, and we noted this is kind of a no man's land in here. It just could bash around, and you know, we can have sellers drive it down here, buyers drive it back up, right? Here, look at the order book in here. I like this. Now, I don't know what's unfolded yet. I haven't seen it. But if we get the order book here, this is the scenario we're going to go through, right? We see the buyers, sellers bring it back down, but now they're on the bid here. Now, the question is, what is the reaction to this liquidity? Okay, well, so far we see some buying coming in. That's good. That's what we want to see. Okay, now what we want to see is buyers up here, okay, around this 57 and a half or so, and then we should get the move up into 60 and maybe above, or 70. Okay, so let's take a look. All right, so we had sellers instead. Now, this is exactly what we want to go through and understand if this is higher probability or not. The reaction to this liquidity, we found sellers interested in trading into it. Okay, that's not what we're looking for. All right, so we see more selling pressure below. Now, this is another kind of smaller event in here in the order flow. We see the sellers in here, and we see more sellers coming in, driving it into now 52. Okay, once we see more sellers down below or less buying or exhaustion up here, likely we're going to get sellers here and then the move lower. Okay, now, so if we instead we see the reaction be buyers like this and then buyers up in here, more likely we will see the move up into the highs or this liquidity up here. Okay, the second scenario is, well, actually we got sellers interested in this, less buyers here, right? Especially here though, and here. This one's probably the most important one. And if we get more sellers here, we'd be looking for them to trade down here to 52 liquidity. Now, that's good. But what about down here? Well, I'd look for them to continue down here to 50. Okay, maybe even below. So let's zoom out a little bit. I haven't looked at it yet. Let's see. Does it come down here to 50? Does it come down to a lower level? Maybe down in here, 48. Maybe down to 45. Let's take a look. Okay, so all it did was come down into 52. It didn't even make it to 50. Okay, so they went for this liquidity. They went down in here. Something kind of changed in here. They start to bid up, and look at the reaction to the bid in here. Now, I know this is hindsight now, but we're going through the scenarios. Okay, we went through these scenarios and breakouts in real time. So we're putting it to the test in the live market. Right, so we had a little bit of a shift in here. They traded into liquidity on the way down, back and forth. Here's our exhaustion here, but they're bidding here, and the reaction was buyers. Okay, so we're looking again for buyers here, and then the breakout up into the swing here, and then maybe up into 60. All right, so we got that. Let's take a look at the current market now. Okay, looks good for continuation here on up 64. This is a pretty simple read. Now they're bidding up a little bit here, so that's good, but they're on the offer here as well. So it's not going to be the simplest move here. All right, so let's take a look though. All right, so let's see them. Let's see these buyers can trade into these guys up here, and then we get our break. Nope. Okay. All right, so sellers down, likely to come down to 60. Okay, and likely to even try to trade maybe down to 58 here. Okay, they're just below the swing here. Okay, so let's see, 58. We see a player down here around this 56 as well, so that looks pretty good too. All right, so now let's see, do we get our sellers down here at 58 3/4? Looks good. Let's see it, sellers. Let's see if you can do it. All right, here's some new liquidity coming in here at 60 basically. Right, so here's our reaction to this liquidity here at 60. Okay, so actually we're going to look now for these buyers to try to take it higher. Actually, this is looking pretty good. If the reaction to this liquidity is buyers here and they're pulling up here, let's see, let's get up into this 64 and 65 liquidity, maybe 70 here. There's our 63.5. Higher liquidity here on the bid though, and the reaction is buyers, so this is still looking good, guys. Still looking pretty good here. Okay, we made it to 64. Good morning, Aaron. So anyway, guys, I mean, you can see like starting to get some of these reads in here. And then there's different ways of managing your risk in here. And it's up to you in the way that you trade. I like to take my profits at some of these targets and levels in here. Okay. Sometimes I kick myself because it continues on up, but this was the move I was looking for. Just that. So I take it. I like to move my stop to break even and look for a continuation. Okay, so if I got in someplace in here, I would have taken my partial profit here and I would have been stopped out at break even on the rest. And I just look for the next setup. Now, we can also go through, there's just different ways to do this. It's up to the individual trader and the time frame and the risk that they want to take. How much are you willing to risk? What is your risk to reward? So if I was willing to take it up to 64 here from 61, okay, now I have about that much. Let's just make it a little bit less here, okay, and just be fair and get stop at one or at break even plus one, and now I can put my my stop at the bottom of the range here. Okay, now that would be my overall stop, right? If I'm trading two, or it could be 4 contracts, but I get out 2 and I put 2 down here, whatever, doesn't matter. I wouldn't have been stopped out. Okay, if I got stopped out down here, I would have made just break even plus a tick, okay, on the overall position. However, that allows me to stay in this for the bigger move. It's up to you, right? And whatever it is that you're looking for. Sometimes I do this. Other times I will just, I like to take my profit, stop at break even, look for the next opportunity. It's here. I would get in. I'm looking for it into 65 up to 70. Look at the bid, look at the buying, looking for 68 and yeah, 78, or I'm sorry, 70. Okay, this is looking pretty good. Look at the bid underneath here. Look at the buying. Okay. Kind of an interesting day here. I mean, what we're seeing a lot is these breakouts, and then they get tested here. They'll come back down into this. We see that it trade back down and test this liquidity here. Okay, so it's working. It's going to the upside, but it's really testing some of these lower levels here. Typically, we've seen it a few times now. Right. This one is it's back up here again. So now looking for more buying up here. Let's see if we get it. There they are. Okay, we should be able to see buyers lift it higher up into our 70 level. All right, so this is working out pretty well, but let's go and look at our bigger picture here. All right, so what do we got? Well, this on the 15-minute chart in here looks pretty good. I put a level in here just due to some of the kind of swings in here. This is kind of where it bounced and went through and then tested here a few times. Then it broke out above and then went above here. This is our gap here from just the other day. All right, so yeah, I'm looking for these buyers. Looks like this is pretty strong. So looking for these buyers in this kind of bigger picture to trade up to 75. And we might even get a gap fill here. Okay, the total gap fill would be up here around 39.11. But you know, maybe halfway in between if you guys like your half gap fills, or maybe up into this kind of like 98 level, somewhere around there, or the figure 3900. Okay, so this could be our Santa Claus rally here at the end of the year. Okay, let's see it, buyers. You see these sellers in here? Okay, which is quite a bit actually. If we get enough buyers up here though, watch out. If we don't, and we just got exhaustion here, so if we get sellers down, so we got to go through these scenarios really quickly here. If the buyers can't muster it up here, if they can't do it, watch the sellers come in at 66.25. Okay, here they go. Now they're going to drop it down to 64, 65 here, and then maybe 63. Okay, we've seen this move so many times. Okay, it's just simple order flow readings in here. Right, now we had to be kind of quick on that one. Okay, you know, here's where the reading was, and we can go over this though on a higher time frame. Don't worry, it's not, we're not scalping in here all day long. It's in Bookmap. It can be used on multiple time frames. In fact, I want to go over something that we had a webinar on, I think it was Wednesday, with TraderAid. It was excellent. Really smart guys over there, and they went through how they're using Bookmap on a much higher time frame. Well, it's intraday, but they're zoomed out, and they're reading liquidity in just a great way. So there's lots to learn from that webinar. You know, we're just going over these things in these smaller time frames so that we can get as many experiences under our belt about understanding the way order flow works. Okay, the more that we get under our belt here, it's like playing cards. The more that we'll be an expert at poker by playing more and more hands. Then we can zoom out. Then we can look for these bigger picture moves, right? So you know, here's our event from earlier at 8:30. Okay, it's the high up here. That's kind of important. Let's put our line up there. Okay, so this kind of 70, a little bit above 71, I guess, somewhere around there is what we're kind of looking for here. All right, now we didn't see that here. Okay, we didn't see it on here. That was pre-market. This is only cash session here. Yeah, that webinar, Joe, let me show you where it is. It's excellent. Yeah, we'd love to have these guys more often. Here, I'll show you where it is. Okay, so go to our YouTube page and then scroll down here, Pro Trader Webinar Series. We just did one with them on Wednesday. Okay, so yeah, just one day ago. Here we can even take a look here. They're zoomed out and looking at much higher levels here of liquidity, and have some really great reads on liquidity in here. Yeah, I'd really recommend it. Like they kind of look for well, the same things we're looking for in terms of like the reaction to liquidity. But see how we see larger players coming in and providing liquidity up here around 76. And they'd be looking for that. Okay, on some of these breakouts in here, they're kind of looking for, well, where's the liquidity after a breakout, right? And you can see it up here, which is, this is what, 70, and then we have 79, it looks like, up here, something like that. And they'd be looking for those areas on these higher time frames. As long as there's buyers in here, they're looking for the continuation up into those areas. Okay, so now we're starting to see a bit of a sell-off come in. Okay, and their sellers are testing this kind of swing, this cluster in here, and this swing and this breakout in here. Okay, and let's see, it looks like they have maybe enough power to trade through it. And then we'd be looking for the move maybe down to this 55. This is really the critical area is going to be here. If we get buyers back up above 62, and then we'd be looking for this, back up to 65, back up to 68, and maybe our 70, 71 level here. Right, so this would be a false breakdown, and we'd be looking for some heavy buying right now, right here. The bid looks pretty decent. Let's see if they can. If we can get a little bit more on that bid and the reaction be buyers here. That's really the key. And we're seeing that sellers are kind of interested in this liquidity. So it's not the case right now. It's not really the scenario we're looking for. Yeah, they're on the bid here. That's good. Okay, let's see if they can maybe, you'll see the reaction in here, and you'll see how traders can, in the auction, can kind of test this auction. If we put a bid in here, and the reaction is buyers, well, then you just learn something. Now, what we can do is watch this auction process unfold and learn from them as well. Okay, we don't have to have deep pockets to provide liquidity to test the market like that. Okay, we can just watch them. So now they're bidding up here, and the reaction's muted. And in fact, there we got some sellers now, right? So, okay, well, that's not what we were looking for. Do we get some sellers still below it here? Let's see. Yeah. So there's the let me put the link in here to that webinar if you guys want to see it. From the Trader Aid guys. There you go. Okay, so all right, so this was we saw that liquidity come in and we got sellers into it. So look what happened and unfolded after that. Guys, we're not making this stuff up, right? More sellers. They trade into this liquidity at 57 and below it as well. Okay, so let's zoom out. Let's look at our bigger picture here. A little bit bigger picture. I don't know. I still kind of, it doesn't, I'm not getting much of a read out of this. Um, we see some liquidity coming in at 60, but there's a lot of selling that just came in. So I'm still kind of looking for sellers to take it down into 52 and maybe 50 here. Let's put a price channel in here and start to understand kind of this price action within this channel here. Now this channel is just, basically it's part of it's a diagonal auction in here that this is where the lows are, and maybe it's a little too low. You'll find buyers take it back into the mean in this trend, or maybe the other side of the range here, right? And let's go over what the mean is in here. Would be the middle. Maybe you pitchfork traders in there would be looking at something like this, or standard deviation on your pitchfork in a trend. And all we're trying to do though is gauge the auction, the behavior of traders, if this is going to continue or not. That's it. Then we can look for higher probability outcomes based on the reaction and behavior of these traders. So here we got high liquidity at 58. We're finding sellers. We're looking for continuation here, right? Continuation. There we go. I mean, we have to, it's a quick read, and we had to be quick, now we're down to this kind of end down here in our channel. A little bit of a bounce, a little bit of profit taking, high liquidity at 51 and 50. All right, so if you're looking for that move down here, consider maybe taking some off. Let's see. There's a move into 50, guys. Pretty nice. Still in that channel. Okay, and yeah, okay, it traded into it, but we're not looking for a bounce here yet. We got a few things that are pretty nice, but I'm not looking for a bounce yet. Okay, looking for some exhaustion here. Now, if we get some buyers in here, yes, I'm looking for a move into 53 and a half. Maybe we can get up into kind of 58 area here. Okay, so yeah, we had some buyers in here and still looking for 50. There's 53 and a half, looking for it to continue here. Let's see if we can get a move back up into maybe 56 and a half, 58, something like that. Again, we need to find buyers here at this 52 and 3/4, else this is gonna drop back down to 48. Yeah, I'm just not finding any buyers. Exhausting out. Okay, now we're starting to find them, starting to trickle in. Don't like it. Just really don't like it. I don't see any commitment in here in the behavior. Right, that's what we don't like. We just don't see. We're looking for buyers in here. They kind of trickle in, and then sellers kind of trickle in on the other side. It's just not looking that great. So this is not high probability, right? If we were looking for that move up into 53 and a half, and that was it, right? But when we were talking about maybe a move higher though, it's just to get that idea across. This is kind of like basically kind of back to an average trade, which is a mean reversion trade in essence. Okay, and a diagonal move here. Let me get to a few questions. Ben, is there a difference between the amount of liquidity data I can see in Bookmap and no, global plus does not matter. Liquidity is liquidity. We're gonna display the order book. You're not going to see anything different. The different data providers, like you're looking at Tradeovate, and I believe then you're connected with CQG data here within Bookmap. Is that correct, Ben? If so, no, it should be the same. I mean, the data from CME is excellent, very transparent. I think these are some of the best markets, the fairest markets to trade in the futures. And you should, it's a very centralized exchange. You should see the same amount of liquidity. You should, between that, Rhythmic, others, but you may not, and that's up to the data provider, though. Maybe it's just crappy data, or just not as high quality data, right? Transactions should also be the same. They really should. Okay, here, look at the reaction here. Liquidity down here, buyers. Okay, be careful here. We got to get above this on buying. Yeah, it looks good. All right. So yeah, let's see if we can get buyers up into this 58 here. Okay, pull back, bounce off of this here at 54.5. Let's see if we can get that. This would be our flag pattern in here. Buyers, pull back, buyers 58. Okay, now what is a flag? Right, well, it's an impulse move with a bit of a break followed by another impulse move. Okay, so it's just we're looking for and I don't really, we talked about it so many times. It doesn't matter that it's a flag or whatever it's called. You're just looking for the order flow to play out in a specific way. And you can see the flag is struggling here. And it was doing it, and then it did it up into this high liquidity here. Remember we talked about 56 or 56.5? Well, they came back in and they transacted, and that caused this to fall back down. Okay, not enough buyers to trade up into 58 at that point. You can't see liquidity above. Okay, so above 30 and 80. Yeah, this is a problem with different data providers. This is why we really like Rhythmic data and also DXFeed data. It's full depth of market. CQG, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I know it's from Tradeovate. I've tested CQG data over the years. They didn't have it for the S&P E-mini. The last time I tested it some months ago, they did have it for the S&P. They had it actually for the NASDAQ some years ago, and now they don't. I don't understand what's going on there. That's why I just recommend going with Rhythmic. Okay, so yeah, maybe you want to reach out to them, Ben, and then ask them. But a lot of times you'll see, and this is the way it was years ago from everybody, was that the depth of market you would get would be 10 on the offer and 10 on the bid. We can mimic that here. We can mimic it in here and set the depth here at 10, for example, and this is what you're getting. It's horrible. It's really horrible. This is not very much transparency in here. Okay, if you only get 10 on the bid and 10 on the offer. Okay, like here we have full depth. It's like you can look at some of these other areas up here at 60 or 80, and you know that this is all live data. Okay, and that's a nice advantage. So I don't know what to tell you there, Ben, but it's not the version of Bookmap. I'll tell you that. Abby, you have a question here. So let's just check out the price action here. because we're seeing this kind of drop here now, and I'd be looking for a continuation here in this drop. Strong selling in here. Let's see if we get our sellers at the bottom edge here around 48. There's some exhaustion. Looking for sellers here, and then now we're looking for the follow through. Okay, 46, 45. Okay, yeah, 45 looks pretty good. We have VWAP down here. Let's look at the bigger picture. All right, so what about this? This looks great here for a target. Let's look at our horizontal line in here. Okay, so right around a little bit below 45, and we have your VWAP too. Now, why 45? Because of the swings in here. Okay, and then the breakout here. It's possible right in here too. Look at this little area in that flag area, but it also matches up over here. And you can see kind of what I'm looking at in terms of volume profiles. You know, there's little areas in here where there were buyers that came in. That's what I'm looking at. Is what was the reaction in here? Okay, and the breakout and breakdowns. But we can also look at these areas in here and it's like, wow, okay, so this really flew through this area in here, and it's a low volume node. It's kind of filled in now, but you know, you can look for rejection at the low volume nodes is what kind of the idea is. The idea is that price accepted up in these areas. It's a low volume node, and you'd look for a fade from the low volume node back into a high volume node where it can trade. We're going over a lot of stuff in here, so let's see. Let's get to Abby's question. How do we put SVP and CVP to use when trading? I always have them, but we'd great to understand how to use it. Okay, so we're just actually going over that right now. So, you know, these are volume profiles. Now, you can, guys, these are so configurable. There's all sorts of different, you can add new columns in here, and you have 2 CVP columns, and I can configure them. I can look at just delta. Okay, buy minus sell at areas. So I like this view. We can look at if you know, basically the CVP is showing you the chart range volume profile. So what's in my viewable range. Okay, so if I zoom in, I get a different range because of my chart range in here. I get my different profile, right? The SVP stands for session range volume profile, which shows the entire session here. Now, the ways that you can kind of match these up and use these together, it's fantastic. You can just look at these smaller ranges or chart range, and then start to understand, wow, okay, well, I have a high volume node up here, and if we start to see buyers come back in, okay, so now look at us on this SVP here. Okay, we're kind of into the low volume node in here. We're still finding sellers here. So I'm looking, if we're looking for a rejection, well, we don't see it yet, right? Now here's our move into 44 or 45, 44 liquidity here, and now VWAP. Okay, and high volume node here. Okay, high volume node's a little bit lower here, around 41. This is where I imagine we'll find some profit taking, and we can move back up into maybe 45, or maybe we can even come back up into this area here, which is a high volume node on this smaller time frame. Right, this is how you can use it. You start to look at comparing these areas in here, and kind of match and mix with high time frames and low time frames. All right, so like down here, look at this. It's starting to look at this selling down here. Okay, on the delta. Great. Now, what if we get buyers back up above it? This is going to be a trap. We'll be looking for buyers to take it back to where? A high volume node. How about here? How about 46? Okay, just like that, right? This is showing a beautiful trap right here. And I'd be looking for, yeah, move back up into about 46 here. Okay, do we have liquidity up there? Yeah, we have a kind of a swing here. We have liquidity up there. We're just looking for buyers in here to lift it up into 46. Okay, don't see them yet. Yeah, here we go. Let's see it, buyers. Let's see if you can do it now. 40, 46. Maybe let's just zoom out a little bit more. Yeah, I mean, I'd just be looking for that right now. I mean, it might come up into, we looked at it earlier, this one up here, around 48, 48 and a half, something like that. So, Abby, I hope that answers your question in real time here. Different ways of looking at the data in here. You can split it out as well. You know, play around with these. You can look at, let's split it out here, right? And a lot of trade, and you can also look at, you can split it out, and there's all sorts of resets in here. Now, we've offered this for years because many different traders in here are looking at this data in here for momentum moves in here. Very, very quick moves. So you can look at resetting in here. So yeah, let's see up here. I want to see buyers now up at the top edge here. Okay, I'm going to double click. I'm going to reset it here. Okay, so now it's starting from 0 from my double click. Okay, I don't see anything, nothing yet, not giving me any information in here. Actually, we got more down here at the bottom edge. Okay. All right, now let's see if we can get buyers back up here around 45. No. Okay, so yeah, starting to kind of clog up again. Let's reset this again. Let's take a look here. Okay, more sellers than buyers. So sellers are still winning the battle in this small time frame. You know, so let's see if we can get more sellers at the bottom edge here, and then to move down to 40, 41 and 40. Okay, so yeah, they're breaking it, but look at the selling down here. Did you see a lot of selling down here? No, right? Watch the move on the other side here. Now, do we get buyers up in here? Let's reset. No, not really. Now, you know, a lot of scalpers like to use these kinds of tools here. They're looking for very quick moves in here. And maybe you're looking at your dome as well. They're resetting their dome all the time. We do have the Dome Pro tool in here you guys might be interested in. Okay, we offer these kinds of resets in here as well in the Dome Pro. If you're a Dome trader. Now look up here though, like do we get what we were looking for in terms of buyers up in here? No, we didn't, right? We don't see too much of a skew. I mean, there's some up here, right? But we wanted to see it a little bit higher here, right? And we didn't get that up here. It tapered off. Guys, this is auction market theory at very, very, you know, kind of micro time frames or much smaller time frames. It's a kind of finished edge here, right? Well, we don't want to see that. If we want to see a breakout, we want to see tons of buyers here skew it to the upside here. Now, we might get it right now. Let's take a look. Do we start to see it build? Is it building a little bit? I want to see more than that though for something higher probability. Now scalpers are, you know, like dome traders. I mean, they're getting in and out of these positions all the time, very, very quickly. They're looking for them. Here's our dome. And look at all the different columns we have in here. Same thing, like this is here your volume profile on the sell. This is on the buy. Here's your delta, your difference. Here's your SVP column, and then these are your you know, your transactions here on the bid side, on the ask side. It's all in here. Yeah, I mean, what we're going over here. And answering Abby's question is basically, you know, what a lot of scalpers have been I've been looking at for quite a while. And you can get it here as well. But let's just take it a step further to the heat map and what Bookmap is showing, because this is a more composite view of what's going on. We can look at the same thing with the volume dots. Top edge. Do you see the volume? Not bad up here. Not bad, but just not quite enough. It would have been great if we got enough up here. They should have been able to break it then. But we were watching that in real time over here, and we didn't see it, right? So we're like, no way. You know, we're not interested in that. If we start to see them really ramp up and not have this kind of finished edge here, yes, we'd be looking for the move higher. Okay, up into this liquidity up here. And we didn't get it. Okay, now are they starting to build down here on the sell side? Yeah, a little bit. It's see how like most of the trading is taking place in here though. That's not helping us, right? That's not really helping us here. We're looking for like our B-shaped profile down here to break here, and especially down at the bottom of the B. Okay, now it's looking pretty good up here. Look at that. There we go. There's our move. You know, it's quick. It's a scalp, guys. But anyway, we did see it. We saw it over here in the column, and you can see it start to ramp up in here with the buying dot, right? And there's our move. Okay, it's very quick, right? But you can do it if you want, right? You don't have to. You can zoom out in here and look at bigger picture stuff in here in Bookmap. You can look for pullback trades here. If the buyers are taking control of this market, look for a pullback. This is a great area for a pullback right here around this 47. Okay, and let's see if we get a bounce there. Next level on pullback might be around this area here, 46, or all the way back down to 44.5 where it just broke out from. Okay, and you can still be bullish in here. Let's just circle back to what we talked about, a volume event here. Okay, so and here we go, right? Pull back. Now our pullback came to a little bit below our 47. And then let's see if we get enough buyers up here again. We can even look at our columns. Yeah, looks pretty good. All right, buyers, let's see you take it. Higher liquidity on the bid, looks good. And not so good now, but still in play, Okay, yeah, let's see it. We're really looking for our green dot up here. Let's reset this here. Yeah, it looks good. I like it. Let's see it, buyers. We saw it here in the column. I wasn't even looking over here. But they started, it was that big green dot in here. Still looks good, guys. Still like it. See how we can read this, and we're looking for the break here. Looking for these buyers to try to break it on up into this liquidity up here, 53. Okay, let's reset it again. Now we're starting to see sellers come in here, kind of mess with the whole thing. Right, so now it's not looking so good. But we saw that 510 selling up here, right? That came in, and then we're like, I don't know. It's still in play, but it's not looking so good. Okay, now there's still more buying up here though. Not a whole lot more, but there's still more buying. Here they are. All right, let's see it. If we get that boost here, we should get our breakout. It's breaking. It's pretty thin. Don't like that. Okay, now let's just take this and compare it to over here. Right, it's working, it's doing it, but it's pretty thin. What we see, and this is why we cover the dots being so important, the size of the dots. Okay, it's related directly to this down over here in the column. All right, so we can see the number here. We see the histogram as well. Okay, but we don't. It's up to you. Like a lot of traders from the dome, that's exactly what they're looking at, and resetting, you know, many times over in here, and then looking again for the next, you know, the next thing, and then the next thing. We're just doing it kind of in this composite view here in Bookmap, and we're looking at the volume dots to give us that insight, right? So yeah, we saw it starting to hit in here, and we got, well, you know, it's not a whole lot, but they're starting to lift it. Okay, this is not looking as high probability. This actually looks better. Okay, and then sellers started to mess with it. Finally, we got back up here, and then we got the buyers to break. Okay, now that's why we cover this. We're circling back again to, let's see if I still have the drawing in here. Yeah, I do. All right, so let's use this tool and zoom in here. Okay. That's why we're looking for the same thing in here, like buyers up at these higher levels in here, that P-shaped profile, and then the likelihood here for the breakout. Okay, so same idea in this one here, right? So we know that there's buyers again. Sellers mess with it here. We get a pullback here. It's still bullish at this point. You know, we don't see the sellers come in. Now this is a little tricky, but we start to see them buy again here, right? We noted in the column it's kind of thin, but we already had a lot of pressure up here, so that helps. Even if it's thin, it helps. The thing that's not so nice when it's thin like this, though, is you can just get heavy selling come in, right? It's thin, and it's kind of a question in here. We see the buyers coming in, and then are the sellers going to step away, or are they going to step in like they did over here in here? Okay, and they kind of stepped away here, and they let this move unfold. Now you can see them come in here, and look at the cluster now down here. So we want to look at this bottom edge now too, right, at 48. Okay, now we got buyers and sellers on both sides here. Sellers down here at 48, buyers up here around this kind of 53. So we're kind of back in this range again. Anyway, guys, this is a consideration for using Bookmap or for scalping. We haven't covered any kind of hardcore scalping type of stuff. I mean, we're looking at smaller time frames in here, but you know, looking at the dome and scalping from the dome, you know, I can show you guys. We had a great webinar here the other day, or a week, or I mean some weeks ago here, in the Pro Trader webinar series here with Gary Norden. Watch this, reach out to Gary. He's an expert at it. Okay, so he's got years and years of experience. You know, you might want to check that out if you're really into trading from the dome. Okay, all right, so you know, we're going to use the same ideas in here again in these ranges. Okay, now what's nice about Bookmap here is we don't have to look at this here in the column so much, because we have the range in here, which gives us that additional insight in here. Okay, so now here's our move back down to here, 48. Okay, interesting move. All right, so let's see, and we see a big sell dot down here. Is that enough for sellers to move it? Are buyers going to step away here, or are they going to buy the bottom edge? I see more sellers. Okay, so I'm looking for sellers to try to take it further, okay, until I see something different. Okay, and that difference would be buyers up here around 49. Okay, understood? Else we're still seeing sellers at the bottom edge here. Okay, then 40, 46 and a quarter here, liquidity down here. Okay, all right, starting to rotate back up, and now we're looking for buyers back up in here at 49. Right, I know we're all over the place, and in terms of like, well, we're sellers, now we're buyers, etc. But we're going through this order flow here very, very quickly, and we're looking for these scenarios to unfold. This scenario was likely to unfold until we started to see what? Some exhaustion and buyers up here, and then lifting it up to 49. And then that's what we were looking for in the primary scenario. Well, primary scenario was to the downside in this small time frame. Secondary scenario was buyers up here around 49. We got them, and we got the move up into the top of the range in here at 51 and a half. All right, so now let's take a look here. High liquidity at 51, and sellers seem interested in it. All right, so yeah, that's not good. That's not what we're looking for. So just kind of hands off right now. There, they took it on. All right, do we get more sellers down here? Not yet. No, buyers lifting away from the area. Anyway, it's the same process again and again. Okay, that turned into a nice flag pattern in here, but I didn't see it unfold. We had some buying up here. We had none previously, just some in here, and then they came in here. Traders came in here. That's just we have a nice kind of continuation pattern. We have structure in here, but we didn't have the volume in here, and the liquidity in here was already taken by the I mean, these guys bought, but we found sellers in here too, so it's just not as high probability. Let's see, Uli. I know I followed up with you with lots of different stuff yesterday. I'll have to take a look again, Uli. Not sure. Bernhard, good morning. I know that was about an hour ago or 45 minutes ago. And let's see here. More questions in YouTube. Yeah, guys, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you like this, I hope you do. Let's try to look for maybe a bigger picture move here, and it's possible it's unfolding. Here's why. Same process here. Let's just dim the heat map actually, and we'll just take our drawings off here as well, okay? Because we have all sorts of drawings in here right now, and just look at this, okay? So we had the kind of buying up in this area here. Remember we put this line in here, and we found buyers above it, and we saw the sellers moving down toward it, and we thought, wow, that's pull back to, well, what would we say, a pull back to here, and then our line here, which is around VWAP as well. We talked about 45. I think I put my line at 45, I think. So that unfolded, and it bounced off of it, and look at this, buyers. Okay, now this is all back and forth in here, but now we got buyers again. Okay, so that's good. Okay, so now let's take a look in here. So this is via higher time frame move. I don't see it quite unfolding yet. And that's why we're going over lower time frame moves, because it just takes so long for these other ones to unfold. But we can look at maybe this being kind of a reversal pattern. We see the buying coming in. And then we'd be looking for, again, more up at 55 and then to break it and then come on up into 60 and 70. All right, so we can even put some structure on it. Okay, maybe we're going to find some buyers right here around 50. Okay, we can also look for maybe a little deeper pullback into 47, and you could still be bullish. Okay, so anyway, it's a scenario to go through, and we're looking for the order flow to support that scenario and follow through. Okay, and then we just manage our risk. All right, so let's see more questions over in YouTube, guys. I'm watching you over in Discord. Not seeing a whole lot of questions, but you know, keep them coming. Oh, let's see it, buyers. Let's see it. I like it right in here on this higher time frame. You know, I'm just looking for them. They got it. They got to bust through this 53.5 up here. But this is where the kind of sellers came in and dropped from, but they're being tested right now. And if we get enough buyers in here on the strength, I think we got our move to the top here of 56. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Let's see if we can get that. And then from 56, you can see, I mean, just look at the structure again here, right? And we look for even more buyers again, and then continuation on up to next levels. Okay, so this is a higher time frame move or pattern here in order flow. Buyers, some selling, pullback. Buyers, some selling and pullback, and looking for more buyers and continuation here. All right, so you know, we don't know. We're just we saw how order flow has changed on a dime in here several times today. The concept is, though, that the behavior in here has set the tone, and that there's this buying pressure, and more likely it will continue than it will have all of a sudden have tons of sellers come in and disrupt it. But that could happen. So that's the whole concept here in the order flow on all time frames, even on this 15-minute chart or this daily chart over here, right? So it's the same concepts in here that we're looking for on the higher time frames or on any time frame. Look at the wicks down here. Now we saw this, we talked about this on Monday actually on the daily. If it broke down below in here, we're looking, there's not much for it to, you know, there's not much resistance in here until we got down to, and I recall 38.11 is what we said. 38.11. Go, you can look it up. We can go look at the webinar, and the reason being was because of these kinds of wicks in here, but we really liked it down here around 37.50, and we never got down there. You volume profile traders, I'm sure there's a high volume node in here somewhere, and it probably went right to it. But you have to come to Tom's webinar. That starts in just a couple minutes. If you want to go into the volume profile stuff. Anyway, you know, that's what we are looking for in here in the behavior in these kind of higher time frame patterns. Now, this is starting to fail in here. I mean, it's still in play, but this is not really what we want to see. We want to see it at least come back up and try to test up in here for this continuation, and it couldn't do it. Right? We didn't find enough buyers, and we see the selling coming in and heavy selling coming in. Okay, so now, and this made a lower high here, so now it's pretty likely it'll trade down to 50 or maybe 49 here, okay, in the swing. Okay, just by looking at the aggressors in here. Okay, does that make sense? So again, understanding the behavior here, this is pretty strong. There's quite a bit of buying, but this is not what we're looking for. And when we see strong selling, that's not what we're looking for. So now we are looking for sellers to take it down to 50 and 49. And that's just the aggressors. What about the liquidity? Well, they're here at 50. They already traded into it, okay, into 50. Okay, and they already traded into 49. Okay, now we're starting to find some buyers. All right, so down here. Right, so there's still a lot of buying pressure in this whole move in here. So, you know, unless we see tons of sellers and the buyers step aside, then we'd look for 46. Right, but I'd still look for some you know, maybe some profit taking, some buyers just kind of scoop it up and kind of trade back up into, maybe back up into about here, 55. Right, just based on all of this previous behavior in here. All right, I hope this is making sense and resonating. Is understanding the behavior in here, and it's all here in Bookmap. And we see the liquidity, we see the volume, and the price structure, and where it's trading. Just trying to keep it simple. Luke, you love scalping the volume events, yeah. How do I use dynamic orders to understand price action? Well, it's just getting a feel for it. Just like we, Ben, like we just stepped back and got a feel for it in here, right? That buyers, and then like up in here, they couldn't quite do it, and we see some selling, so we were looking for the move into 49. Okay, but we also noted there's still a lot of buying in here. So is that, I mean, we're still kind of basing it off of all of this previous behavior. Okay. Now, for that to be disrupted, it's just got to be tons of selling and the buyer's got to step aside. We may get that. We may get that scenario, but likely we're going to chop around in here between 56 and, you know, maybe, yeah, 49. Again, kind of looking at the behavior and then the probabilities within those areas. Just think of it like an auction, like you're going to the auction. Okay, here come our buyers, looks good. They should be able to take it higher here. It's pretty strong, right? That's what we're looking for. We're looking for some strength here at the top of the edge here. A little bit of a pullback, and now looking for continuation. Okay, now not much. We're not looking for much here, but maybe it can come up to about 55. And now this could still turn into, and we mentioned it, this still could turn into the bigger pattern. And the bigger pattern is going to look like this. Let's just mark it up. Oops, hold on. Well, we're just going to kind of look for this to happen, something like that, right? And this would be our first test up here, and that's where we want to judge it as well. But you can see we're also looking for a trade up to that area, okay, based on all of this previous buying in here. So a possible way to manage it is, you know, you got in maybe around this 52. You could already have your stop at break even, and you can take some off at around 55. Okay, and then have a hold the rest for the runner to maybe look for something up into 65. Okay, 60, there's 60 liquidity here, and there's liquidity way up here at 80. And we'll see, maybe this will turn into that higher time frame move that we talked about. Let's just take a look at our chart in here. Our 15-minute chart doesn't look so good. I mean, it's really back and forth in here, whereas previously we had pretty good reads with the momentum and the move up into the to the upside here. But you know, maybe we will get more momentum in here right now, right? We don't see it in here on this at all. It's just really in the middle here on this 15-minute. But the scenario we're outlining here is if we get the buyers at these top areas, maybe 55, we'd be looking for maybe a potential gap fill for the day. And this, you can see the big, huge gap in here. All right. Okay, Luke, Michigan is getting hammered, huh? All right. Yeah, it's just ugly weather here in New York. But anyway, yeah, it's pretty choppy in here, guys. I mean, like, I do like that there was more buyers in here, but sellers took it back. I'd love to see the buyers right here, right now, right here at this 52. Okay, then I would look for it, because then we got these guys trapped, and look for a stop run up into 56. So yeah, it looks good. Now let's see. Love to see the bid come up as well, and then the reaction be buyers, but it looks pretty good. They got these guys on the ropes in here selling. Okay, and then upend them and look for a stop run like this up here. Okay, 55, 56. Let's see if we can get that. Oh, beautiful. Okay, so now you traded it up to here. Take some off. Okay, you can put your stop at break even or overall position break even, and then now you have your runner, and it's up to you on what time frame you want to put that on, and you can look for maybe the move up into swing high of the day here, maybe 68, maybe up into 76. Maybe we get enough strength and momentum all the way up to 3,900. And get a gap fill. That would definitely be a Santa Claus rally. Sam, what does Bookmap have? Value area high, value area low? No, we don't in our volume profiles. It's been requested many times. It's a little difficult to do because of the data you get from Bookmap. Or I'm not from Bookmap, from the data providers. You know, you're not getting the entire session, so it's not going to quite do it correctly. And you know, it's I don't really have a problem with it, to be honest. You know, looking at your volume profiles in here, you can kind of get an idea a lot of times of like you know, the statistics of your volume profile. You guys tell me, but based on what I see in here, maybe right around here, 65 or maybe 62, there's probably a value area high. Does anyone have that data? Your value area low might be down here around 30 or so. I don't know. I'm just kind of eyeballing it, but you can look at, you know, how much traded in here and get an idea, instead of having to kind of rely on a value area high and low. 57-ish. Okay. What did I say? 62? Yeah, something like that. Okay, so 57 for a value area high. What about value area low, AC? Maybe 30 is too low. but there's a lot more kind of traded down here. 30-ish. Okay, so yeah, you know, you can kind of eyeball it, but like it's up to you guys. We don't have it though. So anyway, all right, guys. Well, let's wrap it up here. And kind of a interesting webinar. Went through a lot of different things in here. We went through the momentum move here, and we talked about controlling the market in here in these events. And we put these rectangles in to kind of outline these volume events. We talked about that. And then we talked about the order flow within those areas. And then you can see, like, for example, down here after the cash open, the move into this high liquidity, and we had another event here at 10 o'clock. And then we had a breakout here, and we saw that, and we took it right on up. And then we noted it up in here that we started to see, well, not what we wanted. And look where it traded into up here. Okay, and it couldn't get higher, and then we saw the selling coming in, so we're looking for pullbacks into some of these areas all the way back down to about 45. We got that. And then down here at 45, we're like, well, you know, this is our structure here at you know, this kind of 45 area here, and VWAP as well. Maybe we'll get a bounce in here, and you guys can see this scenario is playing out. Okay, and this is looking strong here. We see, look at the buying coming in. Okay, so this was the potential scenario in here for the move up, which is still playing out. Now, this is not a trade calling room. This is about reading order flow and then applying this, some of these concepts and ideas to your trading and your risk management as well. We went over a bunch of different ways of entry and exit and risk management, taking some off, looking for runners, where to place your stop and move it up, etc. We talked about very low time frame and scalping, and then you know, looking at your CVP column. We also looked at our Dome Pro product in here and went through a bit on that, and then we talked about a higher time frame move. Guys, this is playing out really nicely, right, to the upside. So you know, looking for the continuation here until we see something different, right? So anyway, guys, if you like this kind of education, please hit the like button. Helps us. And stay tuned. The next webinar is with Tom B. And then the next webinar after that is with Doug Pless, Options with Doug. And then right after that, over on our Discord channel, we have the Algo Boys looking at their proprietary algo levels. Thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful holiday. Merry Christmas. We will be back on Tuesday streaming. Okay. Thanks, HE. Thanks, everybody. My settings on the volume dots here. Yep, I can go over that really quickly. Here they are. Okay, so I'm using volume delta, size, transparency, smart clustering, and just a little bit of that smart clustering. Not much of it. That's it. Pretty standard stuff, guys. Beautiful move here unfolding, and you can see how we marked up the chart here, looking for, you know, something pretty similar to this. Anyway, guys, have a great holiday, and we will see you on Tuesday.